did I pick myself up off the floor? The shattered version of me, this version that got to 35 years of age, thought that drinking alcohol was nice, natural, normal, necessary, noble. That saw alcohol embedded in all of my relationships, in all of my life, in all of my social structures, in my business structure. Everywhere I look, alcohol was a part of my life. And now suddenly I realized that this is bullshit, that it's a lie, that alcohol provides me with zero value. What did I do with that knowledge, that understanding, that shattering of my worldview, right? I kind of lost myself a little bit there, big time. When it's all about the vow.
You spin me right round, baby, right round, like a record, baby, right round, round, round. I did not stop drinking through rehab. I didn't stop drinking with a rehab stint or a rock bottom story. I stopped drinking with a sentence, I will never drink again. And 15 years later, that sentence still holds. And today, I want to tell you why. Hello, everybody. My name is Davy. I am not an alcoholic. I refuse to be anonymous. I am someone who lives a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, and I spend every single waking moment of that life helping other people do the same. Like right now, baby. It is raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring, but we're here. We're here doing the work, doing the practice. Thank you very much for showing up today. I really appreciate you. You are great. Now, onto my story, right? Well, I believed in the 5 N's of alcohol, that alcohol was natural, that it was normal, that it was necessary, that it was nice, and it was noble. The liquid lie ran so deep through my veins, I couldn't see it. Until one day I did, and then I broke. Waking up to the truth didn't liberate me, it terrified me, and it plunged me deep into the drama triangle. I was the victim, alcohol, you've guessed it, the villain. The world was my stage, and it was a stage of chaos and control. And the most fascinating thing, my parts, they didn't celebrate the realization. They panicked. Why? Because the truth that alcohol had been controlling me for 3 decades was too much for my parts, right? These parts, the system inside of me, it was designed to protect me. And all of a sudden, it started spinning. I had to feel everything, all of it. All of a sudden, nothing that I knew about alcohol was true, which meant nothing that I knew about the world was true. So I felt pain. I felt extreme loneliness. And I felt a lot of shame. And I had to sit in that truth, in that pain, in that loneliness, in that shame, until something new emerged. But when it did, it was really, really beautiful. Now we're going to take a little bit of a break, okay? And while we do, I want you to ask yourself, what feelings are you hiding from? And hiding from by using alcohol. Welcome back to the 1000 Days Sober. And before the break, we were talking about what happens when the truth of the liquid lie hits you like a freight train, right? You wake up and the liquid lie and your parts realize you weren't drinking to have fun, you were drinking to survive. And suddenly that survival, it doesn't feel safe anymore. And the realization, it doesn't just rattle you, it shatters you. Because the system you trusted, the one that said a drink will help you, was built on a lie. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So what do you do when the pain is loud, when the system is broken and your parts are screaming for a way out? Let's find out. So what happened when I first learned about the liquid lie? How did I pick myself up off the floor? The shattered version of me, this version that got to 35 years of age, thought that drinking alcohol was nice, natural, normal, necessary, noble. That saw alcohol embedded in all of my relationships, in all of my life, in all of my social structures, in my business structure. Everywhere I looked, alcohol was a part of my life. And now suddenly I realized that this is bullshit, that it's a lie, that alcohol provides me with zero value. What did I do with that knowledge, that understanding, that shattering of my worldview, right? I kind of lost myself a little bit there, and big time. Well, it's all about the vow. It's not a to-do list. It's not a smart goal. It's a full-bodied, soul-level decision that I will never drink again. And it is one of the most difficult things to teach in the Strive method because, we all know that when we get married, we take vows. And one of those vows that we take when we get married is we won't sleep with someone else. I'm sure they're not the actual words, but it's a vow we take. And it's a vow we take very, very, very seriously, right? This is what the vow should be like when it comes to being alcohol-free as fuck and living a self-led life. It needs to be that serious. And it's what I call the fundamental choice. And you would have heard me talk about this many times on the podcast. It comes from Robert Fritz's book, The Path of Least Resistance. This is where Robert Fritz is saying, you can take the decision to never drink alcohol again. And that is called a primary choice. It's a choice that is like, it's life-changing, right? It's a life-changing decision to never drink alcohol again, to never watch pornography again, to be vegan. Vegan is another primary choice, very powerful, right? And then you have secondary choices. So if you decide that you're never going to drink alcohol again, a secondary choice could be to listen to podcasts like this, or it could be to remove all alcohol from your house, or it could be to go to AA, right? Those are secondary choices that support the primary choice. But the most powerful thing for everlasting change is without doubt the fundamental choice. It's not about willpower, it's about truth, right? The fundamental choice. This is where you make a decision to change the basic orientation of your life. So for me, that fundamental choice was to live a self-led life, right? Now, when you live a self-led life, when you live a life which is based on consciousness and based on principles around living from self and not living from your wounded, egoic, childlike parts, that then means that you're not going to drink alcohol because alcohol doesn't fit into that fundamental choice. It means you're out of integrity. But I've also thought to myself a lot, it's like, well, how do you teach the fundamental choice? How do you teach this vow? When is the right time to say it? Well, I've realized that actually the vow comes from self. So let's take New Year's Eve, for example, as a good example. So most New Year's Eve, people will say to themselves, they'll make some resolutions, right? They'll say, I'm not going to drink alcohol, or I'm not going to eat sugar, or whatever. But these New Year's resolutions, they come from self. They come from parts. And parts' jobs are to keep you safe, right? It's like, your parts are there to help you remain on the path of least resistance, to remain in your comfort zone, to not destabilize things too much, right? So when things get really scary because you've made a decision from parts, like I'm not going to drink alcohol, it's easy for your parts to convince you to go back and drink alcohol again because all of a sudden you stop drinking alcohol, you start to feel unsafe, and your parts don't know how to deal with that, which is very different to making the fundamental choice to live a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck, doing it from self. Because if you do it from self isn't worried about all the failed attempts that went before. Self isn't worried that you will maybe even fail in the future. Self just knows, right, that you know how to live a life, a joyous life, self-led life without alcohol. There's no need to perform. There's no need to do anything. There's no willpower. Self knows freedom without alcohol, right? I'll give you a really good example, which has nothing to do with alcohol. Yesterday, coming home from Montenegro, I was on the tube in London, and there was a guy with a trumpet and a guy with a set of bongos, and they were walking down the carriage playing music. And as they did that, I looked at the faces of the adults, and the music was activating parts in all the adults. All the adults, their faces were screwed up. They were annoyed. They were angry. Why is this person invading my space? These parts were like, it's unsafe. This is unusual to have music on a tube with somebody blowing a trumpet in my face. Me, I was in self. I was smiling. I had eye-to-eye connection with them. I was saying to them with my eyes, thank you for brightening up my day. I put my hand in my wallet to pull out some money. And then I looked around and all the children loved it. You didn't see one kid, right? You didn't see one kid pull a face at this musical phenomenon going up the train, right? Because children are in self so often, right? So this is a good example of that. It's like yourself just knows joy, compassion, connection, calmness, creativity, curiosity. It just knows all that, right? It's not trying to do anything. My recent vow to never eat sugar ever again, I realized that all the times in the past when I made the vow to not eat sugar, I made it from parts. It's not powerful enough. You can't make a fundamental choice from parts. You have to make it from self. How to do that? There's no easy way around it. It's practice. You have to practice. You have to get on the treadmill of a self-led life. And every day you need to try your very best to raise your awareness. So when you're activated in parts, when you're actually in self, and you need to be able to distinguish between the two, and you need to learn the skills and the way of being to shift from parts to self. That is a lifelong practice, right? It's fun. It's not easy, but it's not necessarily as scary as people think it is, right? Just know that when the vow comes from self, there is no tension. This is why I say it doesn't need to be hard to be alcohol free as fuck. It can be easy. At the moment right now, I've always said that sugar has been my number one nemesis, that actually quitting sugar has been far more difficult than quitting alcohol. But since I made the vow from self to never eat sugar again, I have no cravings, zero cravings. I just have nothing but freedom. Self knows that sugar was dragging me down. Self knows that sugar was no good for me. Self knows how to live a life without sugar, and I'm living it at the moment. I just know it. And that is the fundamental choice. That is how I have gone 15 years alcohol free as fuck. I never, ever, ever, ever think about drinking because I made the decision from self. This is why living a self-led life alcohol free as fuck is so important. Anyway, on to today's daily vow. Today I will not drink because I understand the difference between pressure and peace, between trying to quit and being done. And I am done. If your choice feels heavy, conditional, or laced with fear, it's a part. So if you're trying to stop drinking and that choice feels heavy, it feels conditional, or laced with fear, it's coming from a part. But if that decision, that vow feels peaceful, inevitable, final, free, you've done it from self. And that is where true freedom begins. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have time for today. Please rate and review the show. Help others find this message so they can make the fundamental vow to live a self-led life, alcohol-free as fuck. Subscribe so you don't miss a single beat. And if you want to learn all about the fundamental choice and start practicing to live a self-led life so you can make wiser decisions, email me at thestrivemethod@gmail.com or just go to our website, The Strive Method, and join the waiting list to get on the stuck phase, okay? Until tomorrow, everybody, much love, strive on. And today, whenever you're feeling the urge to drink alcohol, just slip into self, right? Just take a beat, take a moment, get into that self energy, speak to the parts that are really worried and concerned, and just tell them you've got this because you have, all right? Much love. See you tomorrow.